Rise and shine, it's a brand new day. Ken can take the stage, ready to play. Weekdays at 10, the cars in the scene. Coffee in hand, they're living the dream. Aggression in the voice, got the whole town awake. Bringing fire to the mic, make no mistake. Shows in the corner, spitting out facts. Dropping truth bombs, ain't holding back. Ken in the morning, feel the heat. From 10 a.m. CST, can take a seat. We live and loud, that break in the mind. Ken and the bold. Light up your speakers, crank up the sound. They're talking about life upside down. Opinions exploding like a sonic blast. In the studio, they're built to last. With passion and grit, they engage and ignite. Every single week, they're all force can't fight. From sports to politics,
This is a Huddle Sports Network broadcast. You can find us on Roku TV, Amazon Fire TV, Facebook, and of course YouTube. Get all your NFL news here first.
Good morning. Welcome to another edition of Ken and Ken in the Morning. We have a Ken and we have a Joe this morning.
Why can I not hear
I
anything?
love Fred's comment.
You got to
I don't
come back.
understand.
Yeah, come back and come back in.
Yeah, out and I love Fred's comment.
Now, since you brought it up, I still got to say Narcos is one of my favorite shows. That shit was awesome. But yes, every year I feel like freaking Pablo Escobar in there just sitting in that empty pool or the swing set just, all right. Well, Fred, at least we got UFC to fill our time.
This is weird. So
What?
X is telling me that we're live, but it's not showing up in my feed.
Did you get us shadow banned, Ken?
No, it's just I don't understand why it's not showing up in my feed. I can click on the little live icon and I can see us, but weird. Very strange. The weird things about X, I tell you.
But you got audio now, Joe?
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
yeah. I guess it's one of those technical difficulties times the mornings, huh?
I wonder if you know what, let me check Rob's page and see if he's showing up. Shows that he's live as well because we send to his page. And no, it's not showing up on his wall either.
It's a conspiracy against us.
X is having an issue. Again. I don't get it.
So we got the combine coming up.
Mm-hmm.
And
Joe, since you're our resident college guy, who should we be looking for to be kind of combine standouts? Just a couple. Obviously, I'm not asking you to go through the whole fucking list.
yeah. I mean, it just depends on what you mean by standouts. Like,
Who's going to test real well at the combine?
right. I understand that part, but there's guys that are going to test well that it's going to take them from 6th round or 7th round picks to like 4th round picks, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. So like there's a guy, one of the guys that I've been really paying attention to for the Raiders because the Raiders need an X receiver.
Mm-hmm.
Jacoby Lane from USC. He's projected to run like a 4.5 something, right?
Mm-hmm.
If he can crack that 4.4, like just 4.49, you know what I mean? If he could just get into that 4.4 range, I think he could bump himself up to a 1st round pick from a 2nd or 3rd. I think Trinidad Chambliss, the quarterback for Ole Miss, he already did it. He was looked at as a day 3 guy.
Mm-hmm.
And after his playoff performance, like I feel like he earned it. He's projected now to go in like the 2nd round, possibly even at the the late first. So if he decides to actually throw and he can show off his skills, I feel like he could be somebody where he might be the second quarterback off the board
Oh, no
instead of
doubt.
Ty Simpson. Like people might be to take a chance, even though his measurables not what you would have. They're not elite
He's not
measurables what you would expect.
So is it as in like he's not your prototypical quarterback size, or is it?
Yeah,
more,
he's like 5'10" or 5'11", and he's like 200 pounds. He's getting Russell Wilson comps, and if you watched him play in the college football playoff, especially against Georgia, like a lot of times comps are just that, right? They're comps.
Mhm.
But when I watched him play this season, dude, like I was like, I could see exactly why they're calling him the Russell Wilson, giving him the Russell Wilson comp. He looks like a young prime Russell Wilson. Like
Oh, sure.
he's got tremendous backyard football ability. Like when the play breaks down, he can move around in the pocket. He has really good deep ball accuracy, especially on those broken plays. His short and intermediate his intermediate game is pretty good too. His short game, everybody has a weakness. I wouldn't say he's as bad as like an Anthony Richardson or something like that.
Mhm.
But if you have one area of his game where I think an NFL coaching staff could really like dial it in, that would be it. But I would look at him. I think he'll be a riser in the draft if he performs well at the combine. And then there's a linebacker that I'm looking at. His name is Torian York, and the dude is like he's a sideline to sideline guy. He's a little bit undersized, but I feel like if he can run well, that he'll end up somewhere. Like right now, he's projected as like a third, maybe a fourth round pick. If he
Mhm.
can run well, and his tape holds up, who knows? Maybe he could climb into the second round. I don't think he'll be a first rounder because I think there might be one linebacker that goes in the first round this year. Linebackers just don't go in the first round anymore.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah. It's very rare you see that. It's only a couple of guys, if that.
Now, as far as like question marks, like I'm curious to see where Elijah Surratt goes. He was the main receiver for Fernando Mendoza at Indiana. Like he's projected to go in like the second or the third. It's anybody's guess. But I'm
Mhm.
just curious to see where and when he goes. And Zachariah Branch from Georgia. Zachariah Branch, to me, he's a receiver that has all the tools. Like I'm surprised that they're not viewing him as a first round pick, like at least a late first round pick, but he's projected somewhere in the second or third. The dude's got speed. He's got hands. Like he's somebody that I would be watching out for too. 5 linebackers in the last 3 years went first round.
Yeah,
Interesting.
I was gonna say that seems a little thin, but it goes to the point that we were kind of trying to make there, that you only get a handful of linebackers.
Yeah, and when I say linebackers don't go in the first round, what I mean is how many receivers and offensive tackles go in the first round?
Or your
corners.
defensive
I mean,
edges.
It kind of depends on the draft class that you have that year.
Yeah.
Lacking in a bunch of talented quarterbacks, like receivers, we had a bunch go in the first round 2 years ago, right? I
Mhm.
mean, linebackers, yeah. I mean, if you get a good group and there's a need in the league at the position, you could get 5 or 6 if there's enough talent to meet the demand. That's the hard part about this, right? It's like, is there enough good linebackers to meet the teams that really, really would want to take one in the first round? And if there isn't, that's why, so I mean, there's some of that need, demand meeting the need, vice versa. And of course, free agency. Like when we're always talking about this part of the year, this is always the fun part or tricky part, because like free agency is going to dictate so much to what teams do, because they're either going to get the free agent they want or they're letting a guy walk. I mean, there's that. So it's like, who's going to go where? Like, that's the hard part. Like, there's very few people in the draft that right up, like, okay, Mendoza, we know where he's going. But after that, it gets tricky because now you get free agency. Tua, they're looking to trade Tua. The Keebler Elf, they're looking to trade him. Right? Those are two quarterbacks that are on the move. Now, teams that might be thinking of drafting a quarterback might not. But now you got two teams that weren't initially in the mix for a quarterback that will be. I mean, the free agent market, it's going to dictate so much. Like if you're the Bears, you're looking for an edge. Well, let's say you sign an edge like Khalil Mack on a 2-year deal. Are you drafting an edge now? Probably not.
Well, I was going to say you might still draft one, but way down in the draft at that
no, because
point.
the Bears have Booker, so they'll have Sweat and Booker still, so they probably wouldn't. They would probably draft more depth at defensive line, like in the interior, not on the edge, or an offensive line. So I mean, even when it comes to receivers, it'll be interesting because there's some good receivers on the move now. If let's say they could get Romeo Doubs, and the kid from Indiana is projected to be a number 1 in the league, wouldn't it be something if the Raiders got their quarterback from Indiana and his receiver in the second round and then signed Dobbs? All of a sudden, you got a receiving core to go with your tight end and running back, and you have $100 million, and you spend that money on the right tackle and the center you need. Oh, you have an offense all of a sudden. So there are so many moving pieces, and the combine to me sucks because it's just another overhyped machine. We see it every year. Richardson, talking about you, a guy who should never even sniff the first round goes 15 because he had a great combine. The combine at this point, they have so much tape on these guys from college. They get the 15-minute conversation, which I just heard a GM. It's a guy from the Chargers. Chargers have a bunch of YouTube videos out, which are kind of cool. And they did one where they were talking about the movie Draft Day, right? How realistic it was. It was actually a good little video. And they were asked, somehow the combine got asked or got brought up. It's like, by the combine, like you already know so much. They've been doing work on this kid for a year, 2, 3 years. The combine, like you're just gonna know his personality a little bit. That's it.
That's what I think it should be. Is the combine's there to really learn the personality, and maybe if you had a question, is like he a 4 guy versus 4 or 5, something like that. But when you get the massive jumps, there is where it's like, did you just take all your information you had and throw it in the trash can?
Oh, wait, humble brag incoming.
Hey, I can't blame JB for that one, because let me tell you, I'd be bragging about that bitch too.
I mean, hey JB, we want some signed NFL mini helmets that just say NFL with player signatures coming. Come on, man. No, but I mean, like
you can keep that. I'll be the cheap guy. Just shout out Packer News.
like with Richardson, they had a good 2 years of tape on this kid. And they let him jump so high in the draft. Like, dude, why are you taking? You're taking like a year or 2 of tape and research on a guy, and chucking it out the door because he has a good workout.
I hate to phrase it like this, but we've heard the rumors that it was Irsay pretty much said, "I'm drafting this guy."
But I mean, okay, but that's just one example of many, though, where this seems to happen, though.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's usually not quarterbacks. Usually it's receivers that run like all of a sudden they run out of their mind. They get into that low 4.3 and high 4.2 range, and all of a sudden now they're like the top receiver in the draft, or they're a first-round pick instead of a fourth-round pick, right?
Let's go back 2 years. Malik Neighbors didn't do the combine. Marvin Harrison Jr. did not do the combine. Rome Odunze did do the combine, even though he probably didn't have to. The Bears knew they were going to draft him before they even went to the combine. Right? It was going to be him or Neighbors, whichever one was available, and they hoped it was going to be Rome, and it was. And when a player, oh my God, Marvin Harrison Jr. is not going to do the combine. Well, yeah. Why would he? They got 2 years of tape on him. What he does in the combine is not going to change. should not change. They're okay. Oh, but his 40 time, and you already know how fast he is from watching tape. You already have all the analytics from game speed. Oh, but the drills, you've seen him play live.
Hey JB, if you talk to one of the players that I mentioned that I feel like are going to be draft risers because of the combine, if you could get their autograph for me, that'd be great.
I mean, it's just kind
just
of
let
I
them know,
feel
like,
like
hey man, like my boy told the whole world like you're going to be a draft riser because
there you go, JB. I mean, you know what I'm saying? It's just like the combine to me, as far as like the physicality of it, how many reps they can do, the Wonderlic test, blah, 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 blah. Dude, they have so much time now. Maybe back 20, 30 years ago, it was different. But now these teams invest so much time into researching these players. And look at the players who they would really probably need to see aren't these guys who are going to go in the first 2 rounds. Like, they've done a shitload of homework on them. It's these guys that they're taking in the 3rd, in the 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th round. That should probably be at the combine more than anyone. But yet those aren't the guys we see at the combine. We see the guys that they have so much tape and homework on. Like the purpose of the combine is almost, it's not what it used to be, I guess is what I'm saying.
Yeah, and wasn't that Laramie Tunsil with the gas mask?
Yeah, it was.
I thought so.
And he's doing just fine.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, making the O-line guys run the 40 is ridiculous.
I absolutely love it.
Yeah, I don't think it's ridiculous because you want to see how this guy gets out into space to get down to that second level to block. There's a difference between a 5'3" 40 guy and a 5 flat 40 guy.
Once again, though, they don't need the combine to know that, though, because they've already got tape and 40.
But they have to rely on the college's timing of the 40s, whereas at the combine they get the laser timing.
Yeah, no, but they can laser time these guys in gameplay now.
Probably, yeah.
Which is probably far more telling than what a 40 time with no pads or anything. But JB, to go to your question about X, X went live. We are live on X. I did find a way to get it onto my feed, but it's not posting the videos on the feed. But I did get a way around it to actually make it show up. But yeah, I don't know. It's weird.
Yeah, and I agree with JB. It is more about the 10 and 20-yard splits. The 3-cone, especially for linemen, like that 3-cone makes a big difference, dude.
But by the time they get to the combine, you look at it. By the time you get to the combine, what the Chargers GM said is true. They already know. It's more for us in the media than it is for them at this point, because they already know. But now we get to fawn over these guys and get emotionally invested in them to then be pissed off when we don't draft them.
I see you're talking about me here, Ken.
That just seems what it is. I mean, listen, what's the name of the GM for the Bolts? But the video he was on, it's like they put so much homework. They already know what they want. They already know their depth, 8, 9, 10 guys deep. They've done 2 years, 3 years of homework on these guys. He's like, and he literally said at the combine, really, the only thing it's good for is we get the 15-minute interview is good for like their personality, because we've already done so much homework on them. We know them better than they know themselves. So, I mean, the combine is more for us than it is for the GM at this point. And that's why I get why, in the last couple of years, a lot of players have been like, I'm not going to the combine.
Isaac, why did you have to come on and remind me about something? Because now I got to talk about fucking tax code.
Why you got to go missing yesterday?
hey, speaking of tax code, it looks like, and segueing out of the combine for a moment, it looks like the Illinois state government is now willing to fix their tax code to retain the Bears in Arlington Heights.
Mm.
That's
Now,
a breaking.
let me ask you a question. Let me ask
Yeah.
you a question about that. If
Mhm.
the Bears weren't as good as they were this past season, or well, this past season
Yeah.
now, yeah,
Yeah.
you think that would happen or no?
Yeah, I think it would because here's the thing. So the way they weren't going to give the Bears any tax break, which would have cost the Bears like about $100 billion a year in taxes. Every other professional sports franchise in Chicago, though, like they put their tax number, it was ridiculous. It's like in line with everyone else in the country. But at
Mhm.
first, Illinois was going to be like, no, we're not going to give you the tax break because right now, for instance, and the mayor of Arlington Heights was on 670 The Score the other day, and I watched it. He broke it down. He's like, the tax rate, like, we're talking like they still pay like 150 million, 170 million, whatever it is in taxes, right? Most of these sports teams. But what they were
Mhm.
going to do is not give the Bears that exemption, and they were going to charge them like regular full price taxes, like if you're any other business, which would have cost them substantially more. And when he broke it down, he's like, look, right now the state of Illinois makes zero tax dollars, property tax dollars off the Chicago Bears. Why? Because the city of Chicago owns the stadium. So he's like,
Mm.
they're stupid not to give them the tax break because right now they make nothing. If the Bears leave, they lose even more in other tax revenue. So give them the same tax break the Cubs get, that the Blackhawks get, that the White Sox get, and all the other sports franchises in Chicago and honestly across the country get. And it looks like the Illinois state government, and that's all the Bears really asked for, right? Because that's the other thing. The Bears aren't asking the state for money to build the stadium. They're like, we're going to fund it. We're going to do it. You just need to work on infrastructure, road, sewer, the type of stuff the state does do. You need to do that and give us a tax break so we don't have this massively huge tax number that no one else is paying. And it looks
Mhm.
like, and at first Illinois was balking. Now because Indiana stepped up and said, "Well, look, hold our beer. We'll give you the tax break. Plus, we'll build the stadium and the land. And you know what? You're going to rent, but it's going to be rent to own, and you're not paying interest on it, and you're saving billions in tax dollars." That's why Illinois is also coming to the table, because it's not just the tax revenue you get off the stadium being built. It's not just the property tax revenue you're getting for the stadium being there. It's all the other tax revenue you make from beer sales, hot dog sales, popcorn sales, jersey sales, game program sales, parking, employee taxes. It's
Yep.
amazing. That's why it's a
Jock
professional
tax.
sports.
Hey, perfect that you mentioned the jock tax there, Joe, because this is where I was going with it.
A professional sports franchise is a crown jewel for a city and a state in terms of revenue.
Okay. Well, Sam Darnold is getting
that's big.
absolutely fucked
Great.
by the jock tax in California.
Yeah.
He earned from winning the Super Bowl $178,000 bonus. But
Mhm.
because of how California has their jock tax set up, he now has to pay $249,000, which means because of him winning the Super Bowl, he has to pay the state of California somewhere around $71,000. Are you kidding me? The man now has to pay for winning the Super Bowl. Are we now de-incentivizing people from actually winning the fucking Super Bowl now? Because that's sure what it seems like to me. Now go ahead, Isaac.
You know what's great about that, Ken?
Huh?
I mentioned that yesterday.
Well, I wasn't here yesterday.
I know. I was just messing around. I was just messing with you. But yeah, I mean, damn, like California, that's crazy. You know what's crazy though? Like a radio mentioned something like this, that if that keeps happening, right, the jock tax just really, pays out more than, you winning the Super Bowl. It might come to a deal with the players union that, hey, they'll do, this coming California, this coming Super Bowl is coming to SoFi. And then the next 5 years might be out of California. because
Well,
of
yeah, because why
you know.
would you? Why would you do? I mean, look, he's paying 78 grand more than he made to the state
Mhm,
of California because they tax so high. I mean, look at if you're a sports franchise in California, dude, this hurts you for free agency
mhm.
because you can't compete with Tampa Bay, who has, by the way, no state income tax and a job tax that's probably not even near. They do have a job. We do have a job tax here, but no state income tax. So the tax burden is already less on a guy going to Tampa than it is LA. So $250 million contract in Tampa goes a lot further than it does in LA.
Yeah,
And
that's
then
the thing.
and then for
Oh,
playoff games, like, dude, if why wouldn't you go to a state like Florida or
mhm.
some of these other states, or there are 5 states that don't even have a jock tax,
Yeah,
right?
that's what Florida is gonna jockey for. But like, hey, you
Yeah.
can throw a Super Bowl at our area. We don't tax you anything.
Well, they do have a jock tax, but not nearly as bad as California. So,
No.
I don't know what the rates are. Isaac, you might have that better access to what the rates are per state. But yeah, I
Yeah.
can see the players union going, look, if the jock tax is over X percent, no.
And to what Isaac was saying is, I heard a lot of speculation too that the NFL Players Association might be boycotting California for the Super Bowl.
Yeah. It might be happening.
Mm-hmm. I can tell you, I most certainly wouldn't want to play there, turn my pocket that
Oh,
deep.
hey, riddle me this, Ken. Florida
Oh,
does not have a jock tax.
Oh, it does not. Yeah, I just looked
It
it
does
up. The
not.
states
I
without the
just
job
yeah.
tax are Florida, Texas, Washington State, ironically, and
Uh,
Washington, D.C. So
is it?
guess what?
Hold on a sec. Is this new?
so
Because I could have swore
I just looked
that
it
when,
up just now.
yeah,
yeah,
I could have
Florida.
swore when we looked last year, they did have one.
No, Florida is along with Texas, Washington, and Tennessee that have no state income tax, meaning no taxes levied on players' salary for games played in Florida.
Huh.
And then Florida, Texas, Washington State, and the District of Columbia do not impose a jock tax.
So yeah, if I'm the players' union, I'm be like, hey, you're
Yeah.
Florida, you better open up your stadiums because we're
So
playing Super Bowls at
that
your
that
area.
Super Bowl, more Super Bowls in Miami, Tampa, Dallas, and Houston.
Because let's be real. The main reason why California is being chosen, well, not only this year for and SoFi for next year, is the weather. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And the weather, grants
And the
many
stadium.
advantages for it's an even playing field for both teams. Yeah, and the stadium is really nice and everything. So I understand it. You don't want to play in fucking snowy conditions, when you just made the Super Bowl, and it gives one team a disadvantage. That doesn't really play in the snow. So
I
I
mean,
can understand. Yeah, I can
yeah, because
understand
part of the
those
incentive
advantages.
program. Well, that's also
Mhm.
Isaac part of the incentive program, right? For the
Yeah.
NFL for building a new dome stadium is you're going to get a Super Bowl. So when the Bears
Mhm.
do build in Arlington, they'll get a Super Bowl. Cleveland will get a Super Bowl when their stadium is done. Highmark will not get a Super Bowl because it's still outside. It's still open air. Um,
Yeah.
but that's part of the incentive. But if the jock taxes get so bad, where you get like Sam Darnold, and I get it, these guys aren't like the average American people. They make a lot of money, but still, dude, he's overtaxed on this. If you're losing money to play because of the taxes, because the
That's
concurrent
insane.
amount of days you played in California now is 7 days or whatever, um, it's ridiculous. And it's just like, if I'm the NFLPA, I'm like, dude, no, we're going to places where we're not losing money to play the game. The NFL makes a boatload of money still, and the state makes a boatload of money, but the players are now losing money to play. I mean,
I can see the pushback on that though too. You know what I mean? Like, a lot of it's a gray area, right? Because now California's be like, hey, now you're not playing any more Super Bowls in our area. And then it's going to become a legal mess. I
well,
already
no,
see.
it does not. Well, but how could they legally do anything? The NFL would be and say, look, we're choosing not to play games in your state because your taxes are so high. Our players are losing money. We don't. It's like right to work. I don't have to go to play in your state. Be happy you still have franchises that we haven't allowed them to move yet.
Well, as a California resident, can I just point something out? California, California, like they're going to get their money one way or the other because they already tried like getting when they raised the taxes so high that wealthy businesses started to move out of state.
Yeah, I don't want
California tried to actually pass basically a leaving tax where if you leave, you still have to pay us taxes.
for 10
Like,
years.
Yeah.
And
so
didn't go far.
California, if they stop playing Super Bowls in California, guess what? California is just going to up the jock tax for the games that you do play in
Yeah,
California.
but then they're gonna start losing franchise.
I'd start pulling them out too.
Yeah, and look at, and here's the thing too. A lot of people don't understand this. Like the jock tax is based off their salary. In the playoffs, these guys, their contracts, dude, it's not like the regular season. Their contracts cover the 17 game regular season, not the playoffs. The money these guys are making in playoffs is all bonus money. It's not their salaries. Oh, we have a jag off. But I mean, right? I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe I heard
What was
this right. That okay, like let's say Joe, let's say you play for the Raiders and you sign just for sake of argument, a $17 million contract. So that means $17 million, 17 games, each game checks $1 million. Once you make the playoffs, dude, your contract, that's not what you're making. You're making playoff bonus money that's structured from the NFL, whatever they give each team for each playoff game, however that math works. But you're not being based off that contract. But yet, I think California, when they did the jock tax, they're taxing him on their salary, not the bonus, so to speak. You know, they're basing it off that salary. It's interesting. Yeah, I didn't get to read that.
I know there's going to be still like legal matters going on. You know what I mean? Like this is United States. You can sue somebody for sneezing on you. You know what I mean? So there's a lot of legal matters that are going to go into that. You know what I mean? And like Joe said, they go after people that are trying to leave California.
California is stupid. Yeah.
Yeah, California is going to be like, hey, wait a minute. If you're trying to deny us a Super Bowl, location, then yeah, we're going to do X, Y, and Z now. So I think it's not as easy as it sounds.
I mean, look, I think you're going to get to a loggerhead with it, where if
Yeah.
Sam Darnold's losing money, you got to figure other guys are losing money, and they're going to go to the NFLPA and say, look, we're not going to play games in the state if we're losing money to play here. And the NFL does not have to give California a Super Bowl ever again if it does not want to. And they can go cry to the courts about discrimination. And you know what the courts are going to say? Pound sand. They're a private entity. They can do what they want. So all your Super Bowls are going to end up in Texas, Florida. If they ever build a dome stadium in D.C., they'll go there. Maybe, look at what was the other state I said that doesn't have a jock tax?
Tennessee.
Washington State. Oh, Seattle. Get a dome stadium. Now you're going to host Super Bowl. Actually, Seattle could probably host one even without a dome because their weather it's more about rain than it is snow. So that might be okay. I mean, look at it, and then they're going to go. And if you do have a jock tax, as long as it's not over a certain percent or number, then they'll go there.
Yeah.
But yeah, California is taxing themselves out of Super Bowl contention. And the NFL makes a ton of money, but they're not going to be the ones who are going to be the impetus for them leaving. It's going to be the NFLPA.
And
taxes. Oh, go ahead, Joe.
I was just going to say, like, it's bad enough. Okay, so just the money alone is bad enough in the Sam Darnold situation, right? Like, you're actually paying $71,000 more than you got for a bonus for making the Super Bowl or winning the Super Bowl. But then on top of that, you add the fact that these players are risking CTE and like permanent injury. And so now I'm basically paying you for the privilege of getting CTE later on. Like,
I didn't even think about it like that.
Dude, like I'm putting my body at risk to pay you. Like that doesn't make any sense.
I think the other location I can think of, I mean, the taxes ain't too bad, is Hawaii. You know what I mean? I mean, they used to do the Pro Bowl all the time in Hawaii. Why not do a Super Bowl over there?
See, and that's the thing. Like even the Pro Bowl, like those dudes do not get. They get a bonus check,
Uh-huh.
and we all know how that works, right? You win, you make X amount of bonus. You lose, you make X amount just for being part of the Pro Bowl team. But like the playoffs and the Pro Bowl, everything past the regular season is not their contract anymore. It's all this bonus tier system, and I don't necessarily understand it. I know some guys make more than others. You know, I mean, their contracts do play maybe in terms of their share, maybe. So if your contract is 14.3% of the team's salary cap, and you get 14.3% of the bonus, that's how it's worked out. But like your contract as NFL players only for the regular season, not the playoffs or the Super Bowl or the Pro Bowl. Your money you make there is all based off the bonuses. And now when you're going to play the Super Bowl and it costs you money to play in the Super Bowl, it just doesn't make sense.
I got a solution, fellas. So make the Super Bowl in Vegas, right? And then you get your bonus, you gamble it, you double your money, you pay out, you pay off whatever
Bet
that
on
job
black.
Put it all
Yeah.
on black.
Yeah,
got
but now
money
you're gonna
left
have to
over.
pay. Yeah, but now you're gonna have to pay a tax for winning it and gambling too.
Yeah, exactly.
They're gonna find a way to take every last penny from you. Damn it!
Mhm.
You know, the economics of the NFL, while maybe not the most sexy thing to talk about, is making. We see the impact. Look at Chicago with the impacts of getting the stadium. Look at what we're talking about now with the Super Bowl. Like the jock tax could become a deterrent to the NFL in saying your city gets to host the Super Bowl, which is a huge economic boom. How much money did Santa Clara rake in the greater San Francisco area, rake in because they hosted a Super Bowl? How many millions of dollars did they make?
A shit ton.
You know, I also let's not forget about the owners in this, because after player salaries and everything that they pay, they're clearing $1 billion a year, right?
Yes.
So why would it kill them to, like, you have 53 guys on your roster? If you win the Super Bowl, $1 million bonus for every player on the roster
Because they're
and
still
your
gonna get
coaching
jock
staff.
taxed. They're still
Yeah,
getting jock
They're
taxed
still going to
the hell
get
out.
jock taxed, but they're not going to get jock taxed $1 million.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
so that would also, though, they have to be something once again in the CBA, because let's say, Joe, I get what you're saying, because let's say Seattle's ownership says, you know what, this is bullshit. We're gonna give all 53 of you $1 million bonus. That's $53 million you're gonna put out. The NFL's gonna go, whoa, 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 whoa. No, salary cap. That's not legal. And the other team's gonna go, whoa, 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 that's not fair. And then when next year, whichever team wins, if they don't do that, now because their owner might be maybe a little more tightwad, or maybe they're a team that doesn't make as much money as Seattle.
Or they're a team.
Like, let's say
without an
Seattle
owner.
made 1.5 billion in profit for the ownership group this year, and next year's only makes $1 billion, so they're $500 million less rich. I know, but still, you can't. That it creates an expectation, and also would violate probably the salary cap rule.
It's kind of
Oh, no.
mind-boggling to me. Like I know you have to pay off, 54 on the roster, right? Making the Super Bowl and all that type of stuff. But like
Right.
kind of how low it is, you know what I mean? Because it generates so much money. There's so many people watching. I mean, the Super Bowl is, basically all these news, all these channels that put commercials on the Super Bowl, they're charging them like God
Oh,
knows
yeah.
how much. They're making
The most
revenue on
expensive
top of
commercials on
revenue,
the planet.
Yeah.
But
They're
that's
making
the thing,
revenue
is
on
like
top of
the NFL knows that, like, for example, Sam Darnold, right? Sam Darnold's not going to say, man, actually, I'm going to end up having to pay to play in this Super Bowl, so I'm just going to sit it out. They know that he's not going to do that, because if he wins the Super Bowl, it's going to come back in other ways, i.e., a contract extension,
but look,
things like that.
Endorsements.
But that's Sam Darnold. What about the guy who's 52 on the 53-man roster, who's making the league minimum, and now he's paying money to play in a game? And those guys' league minimum, yeah, he's making about $1 million a year, but after taxes and everything, dude, his take home is no better than some people in the civilian world, right? I mean, some of it, look, we all think NFL players are making gobs of money, but after agents and taxes and everything else, a guy making a league minimum, dude, why do you think Jetta was living in a townhome in Minnesota until he signed his big contract? Because he didn't make huge money. I mean, they make good money, don't get me wrong, but then again, these guys, what's also the length of career? 3, 4, 5 years. And then hopefully they can physically perform or go do another profession. That's why you look at so many of these NFL players and you see, oh well, former NFL player, now a manager of a thrifty car rental. You're like, what? But he was an NFL player. He should be a millionaire. No, he had to go get a regular job like everyone else after his playing days because that money doesn't last you forever. Like Sam Darnold is more of the exception than the rule across the NFL, right? With a lot of these guys. So, I mean, I can see where the NFLPA would be like, look, you got to neither not play games here or states change your jock tax. Don't tax the players per se, tax the clubs.
Man, he's like, man, I'm about to buy a Bentley. Oh shit, this jock tax.
Yeah. I mean, and at some point, if you're taxing the players so much, then the California teams will be harder for them to draw players, right? Because look, I can sign a $250 million contract in Florida, or I can sign in LA. Which one's financially more beneficial for me?
And then you always have that one guy. Like, there's going to be one guy on that Seahawks roster, one of the young guys who doesn't really know anything about money, and he's going to take that $180,000 game check and go buy a Lambo, and then all of a sudden that tax bill is going to show up, and he's going to be like, "What the fuck?" Like,
yeah, that's my scenario about the Bentley. Like, oh man, I'm about to buy a Bentley.
At some point, this tax situation. I mean, look, we know that we see how the states are working with the franchises to build stadiums and stuff like that. Great, that's part of the battle. But now, if you're making where the player that these teams aren't going to be able to sign players because, if I offer Joe, if Ken and I are opposing teams and Joe's a free agent, Ken's in LA, I'm in Miami. We both offer him a 3-year, $60 million contract. Financially speaking, he's coming to Miami.
Yeah. Because it's an extra $6 or $7 million.
Easy. Because now you got 8 game checks that there's no jock tax on your home games. You have no state income tax across the board. I mean, that's a lot of money, right? So I mean, it's good. I mean, this argument's always been there, but it's getting worse for California. And yeah, Joe, when they try to do that, you have to pay tax wealth tax. You need to pay for 10 years once you left the state. I would have loved to see California pass it because it would have gotten struck down by the courts in like a nanosecond.
Mm-hmm.
Because now, like, can you imagine? Well, Elon, you used to live in California, now live in Texas, but we're going to charge you taxes, personal income tax for 10 years for the money you're making now that you live in Texas because you left California. Yeah, good luck with that.
Especially when the reason you left California was because the taxes were already too high.
Yeah.
Like,
well, Joe's currently more happy about Clint Kubiak and Mark Davis wanting Crosby on the team. That's he chooses over the money right now.
I saw that this morning too, and I was like, thank God they said that because that's going to put a lot of this to rest. Well, no, it won't, because the clickbaiters will still clickbait, but it should put a lot of it to rest.
Yeah.
It was still fun to have the discussion yesterday, but yeah, I mean, like you'd go to Vegas because Vegas has got a better tax system than LA, and it's only
Vegas has no state income tax.
Yeah. You're gonna go to Vegas, and you can still get all the trappings of LA, only being 2.5 hours away. Well, without traffic. With traffic, it can be an 8-hour drive. But
I mean, Sam Darnold, he played in San Francisco. He's used to the jock tax and all that type of stuff. But like, still, yeah, like you said, Ken, all the other players that are not even making, basically the bare minimum. It's
not even just the players though. It's everyone that goes. It's everyone on the team. It's
the
trainers, the coaches, all the staff pays that tax. Now look at the franchise can do things to help the staff. They can give them bonuses to make up for the tax and get away with it in their home states.
See, this is
right?
where owners can step up, right? I
They
mean,
could.
they make billions and billions of dollars.
But
You
but
know,
but well,
they're
look at the. I mean, they can in terms of everyone but the players.
yeah.
Because once you try to do something for the players, now you've got the CBA and the salary cap to deal with. And so, like, if
Mhm.
I give Joe a $1 million bonus for winning the Super Bowl, I've probably just violated the CBA. I've now violated the salary cap. It's not in his contract. I mean, there's probably a ton of rules I've just violated.
Yeah, the players I can understand, you know, I mean, because
Well,
there's a player union for that.
unless you put it in
But
the next CBA, I would not be surprised to see the NFLPA try to put something in the next CBA, like where it's like owners have to pay the jock tax.
Yeah.
You
yeah,
make $1 billion a year, the jock tax is going to be, even if it's 100 million, you're still clearing almost $1
Or
billion.
yeah.
or if there's what is there a national average on the jock tax?
Not
What's
sure.
like what let's say the national
Mm.
average or the mean average, let's just say for sake of argument, let's say the jock tax mean average is 2%, but California's at 5%. Okay, the CBA might say something like the players will still pay up to the median average of 2% in tax. Anything
Mm.
above that, ownership needs to pay. Because the ownership's not going to say we're going to eat the whole tax bill, right? But they would probably, but you might be able to get them to say, look, if the median
Holy.
average is 2%, right? If that's the median average, the player will still pay that, but anything above that, the franchise will pay.
So, Ken, there's no national average, but the highest tax locations is California, up to 13.3%.
Cool.
Hawaii, wow, this is actually interesting. Hawaii, 11%.
Well,
New
now you know why
York,
the Pro Bowl's not there.
yeah, no, right. New York, 10.9%. Jersey, 10.75%, and Oregon, 9.9% are the most expensive states.
So, but if you took all the states and got a median average of let's say
Mhm.
4%, right? Maybe the CBA could say, look, the players are responsible to pay up to 4% of jock tax. Anything above and beyond that, ownership has to pay.
Yeah. I mean, I agree with that part. Like, I mean, it's hard to come by because of the CBA and the players union and the shield and all that type of stuff. But the coaches and the training staff, the owner should just come out the pocket and pay all that jock tax. You
And look
know?
at the Pats are paying jock tax too off their bonus money from the Super Bowl too. So not only did
Mhm.
you lose the game, now you might have lost money to lose the game.
Yeah, that's what's sad too. It's like, man, I lost and I lost.
The business side of the NFL, man, makes weird decisions. Like, look at, I think now a week removed from the Super Bowl halftime show, we can all agree that halftime show was not done for the people in the stadium. Because people in the stadium couldn't see half of it between the walking human sugarcane trees that buried the performer. That show was created for the television audience, not for those who paid thousands of dollars to go to the stadium and see the game live. The NFL, all their decision making processes are about making money with different streaming contracts. They don't care that you have to buy 8 different streaming platforms to watch them now because they're making money. The European games, obviously, they don't care about the fan base here as much because they're making all that money and all the internet on all the international games. So the Shield is making money hand over fist. At some
Yeah.
point, players' union is going to be like, "Hey, stop," because yeah, well, you guys are making money and getting tax breaks to build stadiums and play games in Europe and this, that, and the other. Players are starting to suffer.
Oh yeah. I mean, I don't know what's going to change it because there's so many union rules and so many this and that. I mean, it's simple to try to put in a placement where the owner will try to pay for some of this, but then the government agencies will be like, "Oh, wait a minute, there's an individual paying your taxes for you. We can't allow that." You know what I mean? So, like, there's so many hurdles you have to jump for it to something happen like that. You know what I mean?
I mean, you get to a point though where states are going to start losing franchises because they're going to overtax. It's like any other big business. Why did Boeing leave certain areas and come and build certain things in Florida? The tax situation. Why did Elon Musk move all of Tesla and SpaceX to Texas? Taxes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Sports franchises are not immune and will do the same thing eventually.
And the NFL has the best kept secret in all of professional sports, which is their revenue sharing. Like almost every other professional sports league, the NHL, baseball, basketball, revenue is like almost 50% to the players and 50% to the owners. In the NFL, it's not even close to that. So they've been sitting on this for a long time, and nobody really says anything about it, right? Because they're like, they see, Joe Burrow's $55 million a year, but the NFL makes a shit ton of money more than that, dude. Like, they're laughing at that 55 million. They're like,
If you think
I
about it,
piss 55 million.
let's say though you're
Mhm.
from like New York, a high jock tax state, and you go to play a Super Bowl in LA. New York is getting their piece of that pie because you're still paying New York income tax, and then you're paying a California jock tax. So you're getting double taxed from two different. One state's taxing one thing, the other state's taxing another. Oh, and you're paying the state income tax. Now, if you're a Florida athlete, you're only paying the tax in California. You don't have a tax you owe Florida. Dude, teams are going to start leaving for that kind of stuff, and they're going to. And the CBA, I could see the CBA, like LA, like next year could be their last Super Bowl in California because of the tax situation. Because the players are going to be like, the player unions be like, look, it's ridiculous that players are losing money to play in the biggest game of their life.
Yeah, you win the Super Bowl in just the state senators, just like that one watch guy that was in the ball and goes, "Where's my fucking money?"
Yeah, I mean, honestly, like, it's just, I get it. The states want their money to do these things, and it's like, well, we're running a deficit. What can we tax? Oh, well, we'll just tax the pro athletes who make all this money.
Air. That'll be next.
That's
Right?
Breathing
But I mean,
tax.
like, and the thing is, like, I
Drinking
get it.
our
We say,
water.
look at the guys in the amount of guys in NFL who make the kind of money that's FU money is very few and far between.
Mhm.
So, we go, yeah, but Burrow, look at these guys. And they always talk about, the tax bill. Look at these players. They're making 55, 60 mil. Yeah, look at the rest of the roster where they're making $1 million. And after they pay all the different crap they got to pay out for, fees and taxes and management.
They're lucky to
that they
bank
have to
300
hire.
grand.
Yeah. Like you're
And-
on these rookie deals. Like I like Tyson Bagent. Like, why is he crying so hard over a $10 million contract? Because, dude, the money he was making as an unrestricted free agent, like as a rookie, that $825,000 league minimum, he probably kept $200K of it when all said and done, which is a nice paycheck for a lot of civilian jobs. But considering that his career isn't going to be 20 years where he's going to make more, like everyone else, dude, that's not much money for what his body goes through and the amount of money that's generated. I mean,
guess what? And guess what? If a player tries to help you pay that jock tax with his money, if you pay over 19,000, you pay a gift tax.
yeah.
So like the taxes just keep on, jumping on top of itself.
Mhm.
So
I
it's
mean,
just-
look, they got to the point where the Bears were almost going to have to sell the team because of the death tax in Illinois. The death tax was going to be so bad that the McCaskies were going to have to sell the team in order to pay the tax. Then the state of Illinois said, well, no, we're not going to do that. And they did, and they kind of saved the McCaskies that. But that's how bad the death tax was. That like the franchise was literally going to have to be sold in order to buy the tax. But then the Bears did some smart things, maneuvering. And the state
Mark
did a little
Davis.
maneuvering.
Mark Davis actually had to do the same thing because Mark
Yeah.
Davis's mom just died, Carol Lee, and Mark Davis was smart though. He was proactive. He sold a portion of the team prior to her death to make sure that he had the cash on hand to pay the inheritance tax, so that he didn't have to sell the team.
Isn't that ridiculous though? That you have to pay, like if you give your kid your house when you die, they have to pay a massive tax on it. That almost makes like instead of having a home they can live in, now they have to sell it just to pay for the gift you gave them.
Well, yeah, and the most ridiculous part of it is you bought that house with already taxed dollars, and now they're finding a way to get the extra dollar out. Like it's Yeah,
Oh, come on,
And like I
inheritance tax. Inheritance tax. It should be illegal.
Yep.
And like I
Yeah.
said, like franchises are going to start leaving states that overtax their players and the ownership group. At
Or
some
here's
point.
another one. Here's another one. So let's say that you're a frugal guy. You're smart with your money, right? You work your ass off. You pay your income, your federal and state income tax. You whatever money you have left over, you invest it for 20, 30 years. You build yourself a nice nest egg. When you cash that nest egg out, all of a sudden you have to pay 20% capital gains tax on that, right? So you're getting taxed a second time. Then you leave whatever's left of that to your kids. Now they have to pay inheritance tax. So you're getting taxed 3 times on the same dollar.
And depending on your state, you might have a state tax on that too, because the federal capital gains is one thing. Some states have a capital gains on that. On top of that,
California, I guarantee,
then
is
on
one
the
of them.
inheritance side,
And,
you could get state and federal inheritance taxes you're paying.
and you know, Washington now has a capital gains tax. Washington doesn't have a state return, but it has a capital gains tax now. If you make over 500,000 in capital gains, you have to pay a tax. So now states that don't have income tax now have a tax to offset that.
So I get the capital gains tax makes a little bit of sense, though, right? Because you're taking money that you're taxed on and invested. So you have $100, you paid tax on it, you invested that. Now that $100 generates you, let's say 10 grand. Okay, taxing part of that 10 grand because it's income that's been generated makes a little bit of sense. It does make a little bit of sense to generate that to tax that. But then, like when it's inherited because of death, to tax it another time, to me makes no sense because you get to the point where the gift can financially ruin the person you're giving the gift to when you pass
Yeah.
away. Like when
Yeah,
you
it's-
pass away, it should not ruin your family members because you gave them your property.
Well, here's another way to kind of bypass that in a trust. A trust, it's what trust is. It can't be legally battled in a court. A trust is outside the court, outside of matters that would deem it illegal or deem it like legal, illegal. It's a gray area. Yeah, taxable. So a trust is basically kind of almost like a promissory note, personal wise, not business wise.
Yeah, I think
So
that's what the Bears did. They put the McCaskey put the Bears in a trust, so
yeah,
that now when George took it over, he's taking over a trust. So I mean, that's what rich people do. They figure that game out. You know, I
yeah,
mean, but the NFL, man, they're going to have to look at some things when it comes to these taxes for these players, and honestly, it's going to affect free agency.
oh
Like
yeah,
I can see why players bolt from California to go to other franchises and other locations where their money goes further. I mean, and Dominic Sue, when he signed his big contract when he left Detroit, went to Florida because he made boatloads more money to go to Florida. Like now
Mhm.
you're talking when these players are making like Albert Pujols money. Like Albert Pujols went instead of going to the Marlins, he went to the Anaheim. But at that level, he was making so much money he didn't care. So for those players, that's probably still going to exist. But for your lesser players, if you're like Malik Willis, and this is your one contract you might get, and it's a $20 million offer for let's say 3 years, and you got a choice of going to LA or Miami. Oh, you're going to Miami
Oh yeah.
because you know your career is going to be shorter and you need to maximize your money.
That's why you're seeing a lot of players going towards Florida and these
Yeah.
or Texas. These teams, you know.
Why do you think certain wide receivers that play for Tampa never leave?
Yeah. Right.
Like Evans gets offered the same contract on a Super Bowl contending team. Is like, yeah, it's okay, partner. I'll take my money here in Tampa. You know,
Right. Yeah, Texas too. Texas is like, hey, there's no state tax. I mean, there's a high real estate tax, but
Yeah.
you know, but no
well,
state
boys,
tax.
we're in the off season. These are the types of discussions we're going to have. Plus player movement, which we should start seeing here momentarily, and the draft combine in about a week and a half. We'll talk about the overinflation and stuff like that. JB, who's on next, who just got credentialed, will be there. So we'll have some good reports from him. Hopefully, he's up next. Hopefully, X fixes itself. But thank you guys for joining us this morning. Everyone have a great hump day. Don't forget the MMA show at 2 p.m. Central today, and we'll see the rest of you tomorrow.
Pay your jock tax.